Greetings, folks. Welcome back to the Jason Damico Show. And be sure to subscribe on the bottom right. And if you guys are on Spotify, iTunes, iHeart, or Simplecast, feel free to subscribe there as well. We've got a very special guest on the show, as always. And coming at you from Nashville, our guest is a master vocal coach, record producer, mixer, guitarist, singer, and songwriter. He's worked with Dokken, Nazareth, been a vocal analyst on American Idol. Just the list of names is overwhelming. I will leave it for the description box below. You guys can check out the links. Just a couple, though. Chelsea Handler Show, 311 MTV, VH1, Smashing Pumpkins. The list goes on and on. Please welcome to the show my very good friend, Mr. James Lugo.
What's up? And he's not just saying that, we are friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. He came out here and worked out in my gym in the backyard here.
The last time we hung out, I think, was at the Point sometime in 2019 when you were in
town.
Yeah.
Bobby Patterson was playing. We were supposed to be out there like this past week. Everything got canceled, but right. We were gonna. Yeah.
Jeez. Is that what the cover group that you've got going on out there now, or?
Was supposed to be out there? No, we were doing a family thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's just start with your beginning stages, as far as however far back you want to go. But
I'm old. I'm old. I don't know if there's enough bandwidth.
Would love to hear about just kind of how the guitar playing started, vocals, and then later on down the line, I'm sure the love for production came about as well for you. Just how that happened.
Well, yeah. I mean, it really started when I was a little kid. I was about 5 years old when my brother came home from Vietnam. And he was obviously a lot older than me. And he started a band, and my parents were cool, and my house was like the band house, and
right.
They used to play in the house and hang out, and kind of a little crazy rock and roll party scene at my house. But I got hooked like immediately. Like I just was enamored with guitar and just music in general. Like I always loved music, but then I just gravitated towards bands. And if I was a little kid and we went to a restaurant, I would always be like up at the stage, just like just loving it. So it kind of started there, and I started playing when I was probably about 9 or 10. Started getting serious around 12, 13. We left New York. I'm from Yonkers. I'm from New York. We moved down to Florida, like Fort Lauderdale area. And I started studying music and really getting into it, and kind of found a guy that became like my mentor, he was like a guitar luthier and a guitar player. And he taught me, playing guitar. He taught me how to play quarters. Like he taught me to do shot. Like he taught me a lot of things, but he was a cool guy, and he was a humongous influence musically on me, as was my brother. So the both of them. And then, at about 14, like I kind of was like, I was like torn, man. A part of me wanted to be Ace Frehley. Another part of me wanted to be a marine biologist. I was like into Jacques Cousteau and science and snakes and math. And then the other one, I wanted to be a second baseman for the Mets. I wanted to play baseball. And the thing was, I was a good baseball player, but I was not at Major League Baseball level. I mean, I knew that, I was good, but I wasn't like that guy. And, I just didn't want to go to school that much anyway. So the whole marine biology thing, when I realized what that was really all about, and then I was like, well, rock and roll is definitely what I want to do. And that was it, man. And I had to I gave everything up and just plowed into it, and, was obsessed with Ace Frehley, and, I got into Rush, and then, Van Halen came out in 78. And then I met this guy, this guitar luthier guy, probably in 70, 8, probably right around the same. I think I was going into ninth grade, and I was working at a music store in my neighborhood, and just being influenced by the country thing. And there was a big, jam rock scene in the '70s in Florida, and Santana, and all that kind of stuff, and country, and a rock scene, and then he got me into fusion, and I was learning and listening to like Al Di Meola and Jeff Beck, and went to college for music. And then when I was a kid, man, I just had to run off with the circus, man, and I moved to Hollywood, and that was it. And I was out in Hollywood on and off from '85 to 2011.
Wow.
And did yeah, just a whole bunch of stuff. Kind of, that's how the whole guitar playing thing came. And then actually when I moved out to LA, I was working at a deli, and the guy that managed the deli sang karaoke. I didn't even know what that was. Like, nobody knew what karaoke was. It's like '86.
Wow.
And he took me to the club, and we were, partying and drinking, and I got up on stage and sang California Girls by David Lee Roth, and everybody loved it. And I was like, whoa, this is cool, man. Like, and I don't have to move gear. Like, sign me up, baby. Forget the guitar thing. But the truth about the guitar thing was I was at the end. Like, at the time, I was studying guitar privately with Paul Gilbert. I was into Yngwie. I was into like Akira Takasaki and the Randy Rhoads and the Shred and the Al Di Meola. And I was good. And in a way, I thought like I was as good as I was going to be. And then studying with Paul Gilbert was amazingly enlightening, but it's also like reality check. Like, all right, wait a second. Like, this is like a gear that I don't even know if exists in my body. I mean, what he was doing was so crazy. So
oh my God.
I got to this point where I was like, all right, because I basically kind of cashed in a lot of my childhood. I was playing 6-8 hours a day.
Yep.
My whole life was a metronome and scales and learning songs and, music theory and piano and all this. And the day I sang at this club in Burbank called Dimples, that was it. Like, I never wanted to play guitar again. It wasn't that I didn't want to play. I didn't want to like pursue being better. Like, I was like, all right, I'm good.
Right.
And then I took all that intensity and that obsession with guitar, and I flipped it into singing. And when I first started singing, I didn't have any real range. I could sing David Lee Roth or like Ozzy or like low stuff, but I wanted to sing like Bryan Adams and Foreigner and Journey, and I want to sing Boston and, AC/DC. Like, I want to sing high, and Rod Stewart and Zeppelin and all this stuff. And I just didn't have any of that going on. And that started me on the journey of willing that to happen, which was studying and singing and studying and singing. And it took a while. It took a few years to get where I kind of got it together. So.
Wow. As far as vocals, obviously it's been the flagship of your career. It's safe to say, when looking through your credits and what you've done and what you're known for the most part. That transition period for those years, how did you do it? As far as really get that range up there. You already have kind of a tenor voice disposition to begin with, but still, be able to do that.
Yeah, but kind of like, I'm more of Nate Lamb, one of my coaches, used to say I was a dramatic tenor, which is kind of dark. I mean, it's like, that's what Chris Cornell is. That's what a lot of guys are. They're darker tenors. Dio's kind of a dramatic tenor, I think. And I mean, you have a darker voice. Like, you have almost a baritone speaking voice, but you can sing a little higher. I mean, look at Axl Rose. When he talked, his voice was really deep.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but that doesn't really translate to like singing like Steve Perry. I mean, that's a whole other beat. The transition was tough too, because everybody knew me as a guitar player, and when I first started singing, everybody was like, have you lost your mind? Forget the singing, dude. Forget the singing.
Wow.
And I was like, no, man, forget the guitar playing. Like, it took me a long time to manifest my reality. I'm telling you, it's weird. Like, people now know me all as a singer. That was not the case. Because when I first started singing, people were like, you're crazy, man. Like, you're an okay singer, but you're like a shredder. But it was just where my heart was. I just knew that there was something else inside of me, and I don't know. Now I think about it, I don't even know what kept me from quitting, because, I just didn't quit. Yeah, you know what I mean?
You
It's
just
just like,
knew somehow.
well, it was just like, yeah, it was what I wanted to do. I'm really, at my core, I'm an entertainer. So singing was more like, I'm a jaw whacker. I'm funny. I can get on stage and sound cool. I can make a fool out of myself. Like, I can do it all. So it was really kind of what I felt in a way I was built for, where the guitar, like a lot of times when I was on stage, I was just quiet the whole night and somebody else was talking, just felt weird.
Right.
I just
Right.
felt like I'm supposed to be that guy,
Yeah.
but I couldn't sing. Other than the fact that I couldn't sing, I should be the singer. So we just had to change that.
Wow.
Yeah, we will this sucker, man. You ever check out David Goggins, the Navy SEAL guy? Yeah, he's an interesting guy. You should check out the book Can't Hurt Me.
I think when we were
Yeah, and
working
that was
out,
it.
you were telling me about him.
He was like 280 pounds, illiterate, fat dude, and he wanted to become a SEAL. And he went into the recruiter's office, and they're like, you're kidding me. Like, you can barely read and write, and you can't jog a mile, and you want to be a SEAL? Like, the elite, the they call it tip of the spear of
Cream of the
special
crop
forces.
in the military, basically.
Huh?
Cream of the crop in the military.
Yeah, that's like Rangers. It's like the top, right?
Yeah.
He just said, all right, I'm doing it because I'm going to show all you dudes. And I think in a way that was, kind of what I had in me. I was like, all right. Oh, so you think I can't do it?
Right.
Watch.
Right.
Watch.
Wow.
As they say in New York, piss and vinegar. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, yeah, I can't do it.
I haven't heard that. I haven't heard that one in a while.
Now I'm doing it, baby.
I haven't heard that one in a while. That's good. I gotta remember that. So, wow. I had no idea. This is why I love having people on, because I would have never known that.
Yeah, well, it's cool to have discoveries about people when you just, start talking to them.
So, we could go down many bunny trails from here. I'll say this though. When did production start coming into play as well for you?
Production kind of started when I was a kid. I had one of my kids I went to high school was a little bit of my hero. This kid named Kirk, really good musician, and he had a 4-track.
Okay.
So this was like, whatever, 79. He had a little like Fostac, cassette 4-track. And I, as I got a little bit older, I was like, I want to do what he was doing. He had a little drum machine, and he would track the drums on 1, and then he'd do bass on 2, and then he'd do guitar on 3. Then he'd bounce those over to 4, clear off 1, 2. You get about 7 tracks without it totally destroying. But he would make these little demos, and at the time, he was into like Joe Jackson and Squeeze and the Beatles and like Elvis Costello, kind of into like nerd Brit pop. Wasn't really my thing, but I remember like in high school hearing his little demos. I was like, I couldn't believe he made that. I thought it was so cool.
Yeah.
Him and his buddy Brian, and they're just making these little, like, they were into like the Cars and, that late 70s stuff. So it started then. And then, at one point in the 90s, I had a Tascam studio that turned into an ADAT studio. And then I took a little time off when I put a band together in 2000 in LA, and we made a record, and it was such a disaster. It was like $17,000 later, and when I got it finished, I never listened to it once. I still haven't listened to it to this day. It was just awful experience, you know. And in the middle of it, 9/11 hit. So it was like my drummer got deported back to Guatemala, and you know, I don't want to
Man.
get into it. I don't
Yeah,
want to get into
yeah.
it, but it was just we were getting ripped off and lied to and bumped and manipulated and lied and ripped off, and when it was all said and done, I hated it. And the guy I had made it with had gone off the rails and disappeared into the abyss of whatever craziness he was doing. And I said, that's it. I'm going to do this. Because I spent about a month in a studio finishing it, standing over the shoulders of a dude running Pro Tools. And I'm like, I can do this. And I went and bought a Pro Tools rig. This was 2001.
Man, what
Well, the
generation
first thing
was that?
I got a little BR8. I got a little 8-track. And what's funny, how I got into singing, vocal coaching, all was integrated into this thing that all happened right at the same time. But I got a little BR8, and I got a gig. My first gig was to do mix and do voiceovers for a movie. It was a documentary about Burning Man. I didn't even know what Burning Man was.
Right.
And I did it, and made a few bucks and bought some headphones and did something else, made a few bucks and bought an SM58. It just escalated to like complete insanity when I had SSLs and Studer tape machines and $30,000 in vocal mics, vintage Neumanns, and now I've kind of come down a little bit into my studio's still insane, but it's insane in a different way.
Right. The hybrid, insanity.
Yeah, I got away. Yeah, it was just time. So anyway, but that's kind of how all that came about. So I've been kind of recording my whole life, but this is actually this is like the James Lugo music started in 2000. So this is year 20.
Right.
I haven't had a job in 20 some odd years. So it's been good. Been blessed.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, because once they started this, it's been this.
Well, and especially being able to move like you did a few times, from LA to I believe Carolina, and then from Carolina to Nashville, and still maintain clientele and stay relevant. That's huge.
Yeah. I mean, when I left, I left in 2011 to Raleigh because we had our first kid, and then Karen was pregnant for the second, and we were just, I don't know, it was just time. I was just struggling, and not struggling. I wasn't happy, and it was time for a change.
Right.
I've been in Hollywood a long time, and I really wanted out of the music business, to be honest with you.
Really?
Yeah, I was like, I just wanted to be a normal guy and try to be around more normal things. And then I went to Raleigh, and then and then it's like, after a couple of years of talking about college basketball, I'm like, all right. Okay.
You thought.
Let's rethink this.
Yeah, you thought.
Let's rethink this. It was fun though, and I had so much fun, and I have such great friends from Raleigh, and, it was a great experience, but, we couldn't buy the house we were staying in, and they were going to sell it. And it's like, well, and I just told my wife, I said, I'm going to die here. I'm going to literally die here because, it's just not fertile ground for what I'm about. And I said, I don't want to go back to LA. I said, the only other option is Nashville. And Nashville was starting to pop. This is 2015. And I came out here for a couple days, and I'm like, because I lived out here in the 90s. I had a record deal out here. I lived out here for about 6 months, a year. And old Nashville was not welcoming to anything but like Nashville. Like,
right.
It was the good old boy crew, and it was like, if you weren't into George Strait and Dolly Parton, and like if that wasn't your thing, like,
forget about it.
Yeah. And I went out there, and they were trying to make me into gritty country. They were saying, "Oh, I had a record deal with a record label out here, and they were trying to cross me between Travis Tritt and Bon Jovi, and I was writing songs about cowboys and cars, and it was like we were trying to cross that kind of almost Bruce Springsteen it out. And that just wasn't me, man. I was like slick LA metal mixed with like growing up on ZZ Top. Like,
right.
I have this funky, greasy way of playing guitar, almost like a George Lynch kind of thing. Like it's got this hybrid, like slick metal thing from the Van Halen and all that.
Yep.
But then really I grew up playing, I was very into David Gilmour and ZZ Top, Billy Gibbons, like those were like my heroes, and Frank Marino and Robin Trower and Ace Frehley, you know what I mean? So yeah, I was kind of a weird mishmash. But yeah, so then all of a sudden I was going to be Travis Tritt. Yeah, if you need a little bit of disingenuousness in your life, you can reflect back on the story I just told. Hey, you know what I want to do? I want to write some songs about, I got my pen right here. I'm going to write some songs about pickup trucks, whiskey, you and the girl going to the edge of town.
Snakeskin boots,
I like those. Though I
me
love
too.
Snakes. I only do faux. I can't get on board with hurting a snake.
You can't do it?
No. I don't know. I had them once. I had Slash's snakeskin boots for about 2 years. Some girl in Hollywood gave them to me, and they finally fell apart. They should have kept them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been cool. They were all broken in when they had the stirrups, those very kind of early guns with the stirrups and, bandanas and,
That's awesome.
Where the down boys go. That was when Warrant did the stirrups. Guns N' Roses did them before that.
So like the Dokken and Nazareth stuff, while we're talking about bands per se, how did that happen?
Well, I played for, it was a short stint on both of them, but I played guitar with Dokken for a short stint. A friend of mine was actually the studio manager. Don, for years, had a studio down in Redondo Beach called, I think it was called 710. It was in it's weird. I remember nothing, but I remember the address, 710 Meyer Street. And, him and George had split, and actually George's rig was in the studio. So I was playing on George's rig for a while. That was crazy because at the time when I got the gig, I was the music director for like this Christian, like outreach church thing. So I'm like literally like playing gigs in South Central. Like we're talking about like, whoa, scary hood, like hood to the next level. Like, I played it like at Black Panther rallies. Yeah. One of these things is not like the other, one of those kind of deals. But I was playing a little deluxe reverb. So I'm playing a little deluxe reverb. I got my black Strat, I got probably one pedal and a tuner and, playing. And all of a sudden I'm playing through like it's like 10 cabinets. Oh, my kids are coming in. I'm online. Come on. Anyway, so say hey. That's Jason Damico. He's cool.
Hey.
All right.
Is that a snow cone?
That's a snow cone.
Oh man.
Came in here to brag.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Get out. Close that door. Oh, I couldn't tell. All right. Hey, get that dog out of here. Close the door. Okay. Well, that, if anything you do here, that's going to happen. So.
The dog's name, is he Bo?
It's Bo.
Bo, right? Yeah.
The chunky monkey.
Yeah.
But anyway, what was crazy about the rig when I first went in there, the audition was unnerving. Like, because George Lynch was like my hero. Like the solo in The Hunter was like the greatest musical moment of my, I loved the way he played. So it was weird.
It melts your face off. It's ridiculous.
Just praising and the feel. And
yeah.
he honestly, the whole connection between us, I didn't get. because I never felt like, not growing up in LA, you, it, like I always smelt like Florida.
Right.
My guitar playing always smelled like Florida to me. Like as slick as I wanted to get and as LA as I wanted to get, as much as I wanted to Van Halen swing, it's still, there was something always sounded like Billy Gibbons to my playing.
That
But like in
blues.
Warp Speed, but it still had this
Right.
weird, like it had more of a soulful bluesy thing, not as like those guys sounded different. But yeah, but so I go in to do the audition. They send me into the live room. They're in the control room, drinking Jack Daniels, and carousing around like rock and rollers. And I remember hitting that first chord. Whoa! And the thing was, all the stack was there with all these racks of, you had like Bradshaw racks with heads and
Right.
amp switchers and a big pedal board, but everything was gated. So you'd walk in there, it was totally quiet. And when you hit the first chord, it was
It's just like boom.
what's the movie with back to the future?
Yeah.
He like blows his head off. That's just what it was like.
You're like the guy on the Mac. What is it? The Maxell ad?
Yeah.
He's sitting there.
Getting blown away.
Yeah.
So, but that was, so it was cool, man. It was a good thing, and it was a good experience. It was a rough time for the band, for a lot of reasons I wouldn't talk about on a podcast.
Sure.
But it wasn't a healthy time for the band, and it really wasn't a healthy time for me. I mean, I've being in rock and roll is a little, can be a little rough around the edges in life. It's a little bit. I was wild. Now I'm totally calmed down. I'm good now. I'm back. I got it out of my system. Took forever, but we did it.
311. I don't know what you could talk about with that.
They were that was
working with
the
Nick.
voice coach for the dude, Ben, or what's his name?
Nick Hexum.
Nick Hexum, yeah. Yeah. He took some voice lessons for a while, and I actually gave him some, which was weird. I mean, he's like he writes hits. He took some songwriting lessons too, but I think it was more just, you want to get in with people and get new ideas, and
right.
We just talked about songwriting and vocal lessons, and I had a couple of connections to 311. I also bought my drum set from the drummer's mom. The drummer owned a drum shop in North Hollywood that my session drummer was the teacher at. I can't remember what the drummer's name was, but his mom was such a nice lady, and she like ran it. And that's where I bought my Silver Sparkle Yamaha Oak Custom kit. And for years I had a bunch of their flight gear, this stenciled 311. People were like, "Are you in 311?" I'm like, "No, I bought it off Craigslist." No, actually, it was probably before Craigslist. I probably bought it off of like the Trader. What was the magazines that you used
to buy? It was before
my
time.
Oh, that's right. You're a kid. Yeah, it was like there was a name for it. I can't remember. Like Auto Trader. They were like magazines, that you bought.
Yeah.
It was like Craigslist in a little weekly paper. Anyway, that was it. Nazareth I sang with for a little bit too. That was equally as weird, because as a kid, like being attracted to singers that had high voices, to me the ultimate was Love Hurts. Like that was like that was like that. I considered that, and when I started singing with those guys, it was so weird to sing that song. And actually I had to sing it when we played out live. I had to sing it higher than the record, because the record was tape sped down a quarter step.
Oh.
We were singing in standard.
Oh.
It was it's like you gotta be banging on all 8 cylinders to sing that tune.
Man.
Yeah, so. But whatever, man. I mean, and the thing is, if you're somebody that's not like from LA, all this seems like, whoa, this is crazy. What? It's really not. Trust me, this is nothing, man. I mean, if you're in the industry and you live in LA and you're doing it, you're bumping into things like this. It's not, it's nothing really unique about any of this that I've done or super uncommon.
Right.
Or I don't
Well,
know, maybe.
I mean, I get what you mean. It's kind of like with on the acting side of things for me, New York, right, just running into people all the time over the
Yeah.
years and working with them.
Are you living in Raleigh still?
Oh yeah, especially now.
Right. You're locked down.
I was well. The crazy thing was that my entire studio, I was going to move it to New York in February, and a couple of things just fell through last minute, and within 10, 14 days, the whole
Probably,
world shut down. So I
probably.
was like,
Thank
thank
God.
God. Yeah.
Were you talking about going to Brooklyn?
No, I was going to go upstate because I have about 1,000 square feet worth of gear between the audio and the video.
What city in New York?
Um, right outside of like Montgomery and Newburgh, those like smaller Orange
Right.
County area.
Yeah. How far north of the city is it? Like an hour?
Hour and 10.
Hour and 10, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was born in Yonkers,
Yeah,
just
it's like
right
20,
above the
30 minutes
Bronx.
north of Yonkers.
Yeah. That's cool, man. It's nice up there.
Yeah.
Tarrytown and Dobbs Ferry and White Plains and
Yeah, Beacon. It's parallel with Beacon. It's just on the other side of the river.
right.
Yeah. But hey, did you ever see 311 live?
No.
Probably the best live band I've ever seen.
Was it?
Incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, they were cool, man. I mean, yeah. They had that piccolo snare thing.
Yeah.
I remember when I first met them, I was like, they were talking about we're 311 or something, and I was like, oh yeah, you guys are like a ska band, right? They're like, we're a rock band. I'm like, oh okay. I don't know why I don't know why they reminded me of like what's that like
Sublime or something.
Sublime, yeah, the
Yeah.
Senorita.
Yeah.
What's their big hit?
Santeria.
Santeria, yeah.
Yeah.
I always think of that music as like.
Well, they did a record with Bob Rock.
Did they?
Yeah. Kind of like after they made it, because I mean,
right.
to work with Bob Rock.
Then because you got to be able to pay for it.
Right.
Yeah. Bob Rock doesn't do starter bands these days.
No. Yeah, I mean, I've got a bunch of bullet points here, but you've kind of hit a good amount of them. We'll just kind of bounce around. I know that you were pretty outspoken about your weight loss journey over the years.
Oh.
And I don't know if that's something you want to discuss in this interview, but it's a pretty amazing story. And I remember you telling me about it when we were in person, but it's incredible.
When I left LA, I wanted out of the music business. I didn't know what I wanted to do. And that was the scary part. Like, what am I going to do?
Right.
Like, what else do I do? Nothing. This is really what I do. And when I moved to Raleigh, man, I just started pounding. I was just taking out my frustrations at Moe's and Taco Bell. I was like, oh man, you know where my house was? Were you ever at my house there on Rowan, right by North Hills Mall?
No.
I lived right on Rowan, right on the side of the mall, like literally, like 300 feet in front of my house was Moe's.
Is that by Crabtree?
No, Six Forks.
Oh, Six Forks.
North Hills Mall.
North Hills.
North Hills.
Yeah.
But right there was like, yeah, man. It was
yeah. Moe's is right there.
That was
that is the Moe's.
Moe's, yeah. So, yeah, like literally, I'd walk up and they like start making my order. They
wouldn't even say welcome to Moe's. It's just
like no, we don't have to welcome him. We already know this guy. But yeah, so it got really bad, and I was dying. To be honest with you, like end of the summer of 2015. Without getting into too much detail, I had everything going wrong, man. I had just had knee surgery. I was hobbling. I had chest pains. I was hypoglycemic. My blood pressure was through the roof. had eczema, a massive depression, anger, just it all was coming together, you know. I call it I had all the fat guy stuff. And I was 275 pounds, and I told my wife, I said, we got to get out of here, man. Like, I'm going to die. I'm going to die here in Raleigh. Like, I'm just dying. I'm not flourishing. I'm miserable. And August 1st, 2015, I got on the scale. I was 275. September 1st, I moved into this house in Raleigh, in Nashville.
Nashville, yeah.
So I moved here at about 270 pounds, and 22 months lost 100. And, you know, and I put back a little bit. I'm back on the down. I'm back down. You know, I've put back about 15 or 20. I'm back down now. This being locked down with my kids has been insane, and my food was starting to get sketchy. And I literally, you want to see what I did? You can't make this stuff up. I guess you could if you wanted to, but we don't want to. I bought a lock for the refrigerator.
Oh my God.
Because my kids were going crazy with food. I was going crazy with food. And I said, that's it. Because, you know, they're home so much alone, even when I'm here working.
Right.
You know, they can't just have access to a TV, to a fridge. It's just not healthy. They're eating too often. And I know a lot about all this, you know.
Right.
I mean, this is, you know, I mean, you know, I follow these people that studied all this stuff, and they find that, you know, three of the big reasons why we have all these metabolic diseases is, one, we eat poor food, processed foods too much. Two, we eat too much, eat too many calories a day. But three, and what a lot of them say is almost the most detrimental, is we eat too often.
Yeah.
This whole 6 meals a day, this is brand new. And
Yeah.
since this has become, like, since the 80s with the Joe Weider buying supplements and protein shakes, since this whole paradigm of 6 meals a day, people's health has plummeted.
You've got to be able, yeah, you've got to be able to.
You got to burn it off and clean your system out.
You got to be able to burn it off. Like, you know, Schwarzenegger, he was eating 5 times a day, huge for a reason.
Right. Yeah, he's on steroids and he's lifting and, you know, he's crazy. But yeah, but normal people, they can't eat 6-8 times a day, 3,000 meals a day. They're just going to get fat. And what happens is, it's like the plumbing gets clogged.
Right.
So I got into intermittent fasting.
Yep.
And the Warrior Diet. And actually I got into Abel James. I just got off a voice lesson with him just now, but when I got on with you, I was with him. He's a good guy to check out. It's called The Wild Diet. And he was like one of my kind of mentors, and we became friends. But yeah, that was it, man. It's like, you know, eat cleaner, eat less often, fast. And I train in the morning fasted. I work out, I box, I lift, whatever in the morning, fasted, and try to, at night, I mean, we lock, the fridge is locked now. It's only open when you eat, get your food out, lock it. No more of this, let's have cheese and crackers, and let's have a quesadilla, and wait a second, what's going on in there? You know, I've got a lockbox too, like, you know, because it's crazy, man. I'm hooked on phonics. You know what I mean? Like, it's like I can overdo anything. And why is it that I never binge on broccoli? Tell me that, Jason Damico. Why is it never broccoli is the problem?
Here's the real problem. I know the answer to that. It's because you're not dipping it in ranch dressing. If you were,
right,
you would.
Right. Yeah,
but
yeah.
It cancels itself out. That's the problem.
Right. So anyway, that was that journey, and
yeah,
you know, it's been. I mean, that's really that. I toggle a number of passions, and health, fitness, and weight loss is one of my passions, and guitar amps is the other passion.
Right. Well, I was going to bring up, you know, working out. You're set with quarantine if you still have the equipment.
I have a full gym here.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I don't.
Yeah, it's great.
I've got an assault bike and a boxing thing, and I've got a full rack. Well, you were here. A full
rack. It was
rack.
great. It was fantastic.
Lift and kettlebells, and
Yeah. I wanted to get a squat rack last year, but I didn't know whether I was going to be in
Right.
North Carolina or New York.
You know, it's funny. I've been building this gym on it. I started this gym a little bit in LA, but in Raleigh, I had it in my basement, and I've gone through a lot. Now, in hindsight,
Brilliant.
get a power rack, get a good rack. Like everything builds from there. You can put
Yep.
TRX on that. You
Yep.
can put dip handles on it. You can do your chin ups. You can do your squats, your benches, your your lifting, your rack pulls, your bench, your inclines, your overhead pressing. You can put bands. I do every kind of band exercise. I've got dip horns on it. It's like the one, and you get a good one. You get one that's nice and good and heavy, and then you can just torture it.
Right.
You'll give in before it does. You know what I mean?
Best and worst gig experiences for you, if you had one of each, and you don't have to use any names if you don't feel comfortable. I was curious.
Probably the most career influential gig was being on American Idol. That was big. Worst, being on American Idol. No, just kidding. Truth. No. What was a bad gig? I don't know. Being in a rock band, some gigs just,
Oh.
I had a club owner. If any of my band from back in the day watch this, they can comment. Jimmy Pyro, John Salzline, and Kim Jade. Sorry, new name, Kim Jade Fry. We were playing. What a gig! It was actually a great gig. We tortured this other band that played with us. It was like a weekend New Year's Eve thing or something on the beach in like Cape Canaveral. It was really nice. Or no, spring break, and they were like the local people, local favorites. Nobody knew us, and we went in there and destroyed them because we just had to, right? Because
right.
It's, rock and roll, right? Especially back then. Rock and roll is a lot nicer now.
Right.
It wasn't very nice in the 80s, but we ended up, a lot of things went down, and at the end, the club owner didn't want to pay us, and I was in the office screaming at him, and he pulled a gun on me.
Oh, nice.
Paid us, though. He paid us. But yeah, I was like freaking out, and I think John, the drummer, grabbed him and grabbed me when he pulled the gun. So,
wow.
Yeah. So yeah, that was a pretty bad gig. It wasn't really a bad. I don't know. I learned from everything. So good gigs, bad gigs. I've gotten involved with records to make that were torture. You know what I mean? Dealing with people and bands and just. And then there's been times where I've dropped the ball, and a lot of what I've learned is from dropping the ball, like, all right, I had a dude out here a couple of months ago, and he was here for a week, and I was having computer problems, and it was like so difficult. And when he left, I was like, I got to get it together, man. And that's what started me on this last journey of the last few months of like learning all these synths and programming and updating my computer and getting better with my file management and where my sample, because it was Meshuggah. And then it landed me redoing my guitar rig and retooling a lot of things. Because it was once I was like, all right, we're fixing this. It was like, we're fixing it all.
Yeah.
This isn't a tweak. This is an overhaul. This is an exorcism. We're not saying a little prayer for somebody. We're like summoning to get the demons out.
Getting the whip out. Yeah.
And me, I'm balls to the wall, man. I'm just an all-in kind of dude. So.
Well, it's definitely prevalent in the sound. Nobody can argue with it.
Thanks.
As we kind of wrap up, future plans for you, which I ask everybody this question, everybody's has no idea at this point with what's going on. But I wanted to get your thoughts on COVID and just what's happening, what you think about the live scene, and
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. A lot of my friends are in pain right now. on a lot of levels. So I don't know. I don't really know. You know, I mean, and by nature, I'm a bit of a, I'm like an anarchist by nature. So anything that has to do with anybody telling me what to do just goes against my grain, you know, and so I'm might not be the best guy to ask that. 'Cause it might really sour the whole interview. It's like everything was good until he asked him that question. Then his head started turning around. I don't know, man. I mean, I think it's going to be okay. I think, you know, I think we needed it. You know, I mean, not that it's toughened us, unfortunately, but you know, I mean, my parents went through, you know, the Depression and trying to defeat
World
the Nazis.
War II. Yeah, I mean,
right. Yeah, they're just telling us to stay home and wipe our butts. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
You know, keep it in perspective, folks.
Right.
It's going to be okay. I mean, yeah, you know, there's things going on. I don't know. I don't even know if I believe that. You know, I just don't know, man. Really, yeah.
Yeah, I don't either.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's above my pay grade, man. I just try to figure out how to keep a Les Paul in tune. Like, if I can figure out how to keep the dang Les Paul in tune, you know, I get an A.
The G string.
Oh, the relationship between the D, G, and B. That's the murkiest waters of all.
Yeah, and the most used strings, you know, usually.
People that play keyboards and drums, you have no idea. Bass, you have no idea. You don't know how hard it is. Drums, you go boom. Oh, did you get the ring out? Here's some duct tape. Next, move on.
Next.
It's like, man. I said, when kids come in here to record and they look at my Les Pauls and they're like, oh, I want to play that. I'm like, no, you're not picking up my Les Paul. Here's my Yamaha. Dropped it off the Eiffel Tower. It would stay in tune. You get the Yamaha. You know, it's like you get the kitten. The Jaguar stays in the cage.
Right. Well, you know, speaking of gear, I've got a fun little thing that I do. It's kind of like popcorn round, shootout round, where I'll say an industry related word, and you just kind of fire back a phrase. And a lot of it for you has to obviously do with gear.
Right.
Electric guitar.
Heaven.
Acoustic guitar.
Hell. And I'm not kidding you, man. When somebody says, oh, hey, can you track acoustic on my record? I'm like, yes. Because I'm trained to say yes. No, acoustic's cool.
Bass.
Another little piece of heaven. It's a lower piece of heaven.
Right.
Bass. Foundation.
Yeah.
5-string.
By the way, I saw your video briefly. I was perusing today when I was doing a little bit of homework, and some of the modeling that you've got going on in the box. By the way, I think the SVT totally won. That's my opinion. I didn't leave a comment, but I was like,
it's killer, isn't it?
That SVT is like, bro.
Woo! Yeah.
That sounds like, because I have a 4x10 with a 300 watt head, and then I blend with a Sans amp through an LA2A, and I've got an SM7 on the cab.
That's great.
So, but yours, what I heard from the SVT on your end with the modeling in the box sounds very, very similar to. Man, you just can't compare that low end with all the other ones.
I've owned a handful of SVTs. Universal Audio plugins are ridiculous. Let me tell you something. I shot out a lot of my hardware against them. Man, it sounds just as good, if not better.
Yeah.
I mean, the Fatso, the distressors, I mean, the 1170, I mean, they sound great, man.
Yeah.
Dude, if you can't make great music with those things, it is not the plug-in. It is not the plug-in.
100%. Kick.
Beta 52.
You are a Beta 52 guy.
Man, get that D112 away from me.
Really?
You're asking me, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
We're
And the
quite.
thing too is that when you're talking about your 300-watt head and your 410, I thought you should throw a Beta 52 in front of that, not an SM7.
Well, the
Try it.
I don't own a 52. I gotta get one.
Let's try one, a Beta or a D112, but something that'll recreate, that'll capture more of those lower order. The SM7 is going to really keep it like almost boxy. Because
Yeah.
that's the SM7. It's why it's great for like vocals, and it's great for speaking.
Right.
You know.
I don't know. It's I'll send you a couple of things.
Yeah, send
You'll
it
take
to
a
me.
listen to it. When you put it on, are you putting it more towards the side of the cone, or are you dead center?
Kind of a little more in the center because it'll get too bassy.
Okay.
That's the thing with the Beta 52. You got to be careful. You can, like, a lot of what's shaved out on your SM7 is not shaved out. It's
Right.
almost like accentuated. So you got to be careful. If you go too far out, it's just going to be like, it's going to be one of those things when you play it, you're like, this is awesome. And then you take it out to the car and you're like, whoa, like your windows, everything shit. It's too much.
The SM7 all the way, like almost all the way to the side. I've found a lot of success with that, but
Yeah,
I want to try the 52 because I've seen that done before, like in live settings, and I've always liked it.
It's kind of cool. I mean, or a D112, or there's other ones, RE20s or whatever. I don't know. There's whatever you got, man. If you know what you're doing, you put a 57 in front of it, you're good.
Snare.
57 top and bottom.
Of course.
Flipping phase on the bottom.
Right. Toms.
Whatever. I mean, I put 57s. I put 421s. I was always 421s. I like some. I have that Heil PR8, PR20. Heils or not, any of them. 58 doesn't matter. It's such a quick, fleeting moment in time, and you can shape it into whatever you need anyway.
Overheads.
Man, I love a pair of large diaphragm condensers, man. For years, I had a pair of 87s, vintage ones. Gorgeous. Now I have a pair of Vanguard. They're fantastic, V13s.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, I had KM84s too, the vintage pair. They were beautiful. Those are the pencils.
Mm-hmm.
But when I put the 87s on the overs, I was like, woo, it's like a different picture.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I just liked it. The large diaphragm.
I would think it's a little bit more naturally saturated, perhaps, or just it's
just more. It's big.
Yeah.
It's big. It's a nice, and that's the most important picture, especially now when you're doing samples on, using trigger on a lot of things. I mean, how good you track the kick drum, does it matter? Not always. It really,
Right.
I mean, you listen to the radio, listen to modern music.
Oh, it's so sampled.
It's samples. So, but the photograph of the drum set is the overheads. They can't really be fixed. Like you want kicking. It's where you want to put your money, is your overheads. Get a nice room mic.
Yep.
Get your 57 top and bottom on the snare. Get that relation nice. Get a good kick mic. I like a Beta 52 or whatever, and find where the spot is. The more you pull it out, the more womp you get. The more you bring it in, the more tick you get. You find the nice spot, because you don't want it to be too wompy, and you may not want it to be too ticky. And I always come in from I guess if you're looking at most drummers, come in from the right side so that it's facing towards the floor tom and not towards the snare. Yeah, you get less bleed sometimes of the hi-hat and the snare if you go that way.
Well, thanks to the Slate gate now.
Yeah, I mean, all that, yeah, all of it. Yeah, exactly.
SSL gate is fantastic on that. I think I've had the Waves pack, the SSL package for years. Just the channel strip gate on there is incredible.
I mean, I think I just use the Waves gate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're all good. I mean, it's not that, it's not rocket science, just set the threshold and, I don't like it to gate completely though.
No.
Because that sound gets to be a little herky jerky. It's kind of bounce.
And you start losing losing things.
Yeah.
You can, yeah. Room mics.
Whatever you got, you know. I mean, I've got an AKG C1000 that my cousin gave me years ago. I use that. I do a bathroom mic. I put one in the shower. I just put a 57 in the shower and open the door, and
Yeah.
that's like very useful though.
Little natural,
Yeah. Yeah,
parallel
back in my old
something.
studio, my drummer had one of those pancake mics, those little flat ones, and he used to put it on the toilet seat. And he loved that thing. And I remember at first I was like, all right, whatever. And then, but as I got used to it and I saw the way he mixed it in, I was like, oh, that is kind of cool. So it gives it like a subhuman energy.
So it's a little bit of a low-fi.
And everything else is so normal and polite. Oh, let's put a 52 on the kick. Like, woo, big stretch.
Right.
Let's get 57s. Let's put pencil. Let's get whatever C3000. That's everybody does the same thing. When you start getting into bathroom mics, it's kind of different. You can really freak it out.
You ever play around with like Sans amps with drums, like parallel? Things like that.
I mean, I've got drum parallels and drum grits on all my my buses. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a game. When I figured all that out, that was a game changer for me. All that.
Yeah, you know what's a great video to watch? You go on to puremix.net, and you got a membership there. It's like whatever, $10 a month. But there's a video with Andrew Sheps. It's called Andrew Sheps mixing Ziggy Marley in the Box. And it was like one of his early mixes, I think, of him moving away from all this hardware into in the box. And it is, man, you could watch that thing every day for the rest of your life and learn something. It's just a wealth of information. I watched it over and over. I was watching it when I sold my SSL because I was like, what am I going to do, man? Do I go hybrid? Do I go in the box? I started trying to mix in the box, and it was like I was just getting nowhere with it. But I knew there was something there. I'm like, well, geez, the greatest mixer in the world, Serbian Gane, mixes in the box. He's mixing he's mixing 24 karat magic was mixed in the box. Like, this can be done.
Right.
I just need to figure out how I can do it. And just watching that video and it shows how he set up the template. Just amazing.
Do you still, I found a lot of success recently. I got some more analog gear, and I'll print stems of certain buses. I'll just bathe it through whatever, some Pultex or the LA 2As or whatever. And that's kind of my way of still getting a little bit of that console type of summing without having the console. Do you still do that these days, or are you more just directly in the box?
No, I don't want any noise.
Gotcha.
In the world of pop, man, it's just such a drag with the noise.
Right.
I mean, I had Pultex. I had all that stuff, man. I had the Sontec EQ. I just was done with it. I've got a Burl B32 summing mixer that I go through. And I've got a little bit of hardware. I've got an old vintage 1176 or Rev F that I run the vocals through. It sounds clean.
Yeah.
And I've got a couple of subharmonic generators that are hardware, and I've got an Eventide H3000, and that's it. That's it. I'm just simple. But, that's the thing. It doesn't matter. Like, if it's working for you and you're happy, then freaking, yeah, man. It doesn't, whatever makes you happy, man.
I'm a millennial. So, I didn't grow up on tape unless it was a cassette player.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a great thing to romanticize when you haven't had to deal with it every day. As a studio owner too, not just as like a dude that has gear in his house, like as a studio owner who's responsible, and he's got like clients every day, and he's got engineers working at the studio that may or may not fully know what they're doing. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I mean, I had a first generation A800 16 track 2-inch. I mean, like, you want to talk about like mojo.
Yeah.
Man, that thing was crazy. But the truth of it is that there were parts on it. If they went, it was over. Like most people that have those buy a couple of them, and they just dissect them to keep them running.
Right.
I mean, the number one Studer tech in the world was my friend Charlie, can't think of his name, Bolus, and he, you know, I was like, at one point I wanted to get a Lexicon 480. He's like, don't do it. He's like, if any of those computer chips go, it's over.
Yeah.
They don't exist anymore. So, you know, some of that gear, but yeah, I mean, things like Pultex and what you're talking about, that's garden variety. You can fix that stuff. There's a good tech in town here too, you know, in Nashville. But yeah, you start getting into like a lot of that stuff, it gets to be overkill for me anyway. But that's just me. Makes you happy, man.
Well, you know how it never ends. There's always you get satisfied for a little bit, and then it's feast or famine.
It never ends.
Yeah. Here, let me go full screen on you.
It never ends.
So much gear.
It never ends.
Do you ever just go in there and sit in there and just stare at everything?
I do. Are you kidding me? That's my whole day. I sit here all day long. It never ends. This I just moved over. This is amazing. This is the Source Audio C4 guitar synth.
Yeah.
That thing is cool.
Well, synth was next on my little list for your one word.
What's that?
Synth is next.
Awesome. Fun.
Piano.
Bane of my existence. Frustration. Beautiful. I'm taking piano lessons again for like the 7th time in my life. I've seriously pursued piano, and you know, I play about, I don't know if the piano's on, I play about as good as like Paul McCartney. Like I can clunk along, but I really want to play. And every time I start, I realize that I want to play great, but I don't want to do what it takes to play great.
Right.
I just want to play great.
It's I've dabbled throughout the years. I took some jazz lessons back when I was in high school, because I was heavy into jazz drumming at the time and doing all that. So I was like, let me learn a little bit of theory. And, you know, I just, same thing. Like there were so many other things I was doing. I didn't really keep up with it. But recently during quarantine, I've been doing the Ray Manzarek thing and just trying to get the left hand isolated.
What's that?
What's that?
Ray Manzarek thing.
Oh, you know, just like, you know, Riders on the Storm, playing the bass line on the left hand, and then having independence with the right, and there's a learning curve. It's a neuro learning curve, and it's like beating your head against the wall for a few hours, and then once you get you have to like submit to it, and then once you've got it, like the pathways are there. But it's just such a bitch to like it's not my first instrument. I don't know how these people do it. They just started early, and they were just doing all the classical pieces early on. So the pathways are connected. But to me, guitar makes a lot more sense to me, and drums and fretboards make more sense to me than this.
No, I'm with you. The thing too is like, you know, I've got certain like talents that are strong in me for music. Two-handed piano playing is not one of them. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like I really got to earn it.
Yeah.
But I got a membership with Playground Sessions. It's like an online lesson thing through, you know, I think one of the dudes that the main spokesperson is Harry Connick Jr. And I just started, man. I got a little electric piano for the house, and it's just like learning how to, you know, and I'm going way back, maybe more beginner than I actually am, but I want to just take it right from the beginning, like little C, you know, like right. I just want to learn and that was the thing that I've learned over the last 2 months by learning all these synths. And, you know, I mean, I took the full courses for Omnisphere, Serum, Anna, MPC, Superior Drummer, Battery, a lot of them. And because the thing is like, I'm one of those guys that like, if I get something, I sit and fiddle with it for 20 minutes. Oh, okay, I know how it works, kind of. And then that's like the end of my learning.
Right.
And then I just move around knobs till I'm happy.
Right.
Oh, that's okay. That's cool. You know, and you know, there's something to be said about that, and there's a certain charm to that, but it is limiting. And I've learned how to. I did all the Strymon lessons, Mobius. Like I've learned like how to program modulation, how to program reverbs. You know, ADSR, how to program, how to make pads, and do all these things from like a wave, like from a sine wave. Yeah. And Omnisphere and Anna and Serum and all these things, and that's what got me like, all right, I can do this. Like I'm not scared of this synth, because synth programming has always been like, it's always been like, whoa, that's like I'm a guitar player, that's like above what I can do. But getting through it, I thought, all right, because now I want to really be a great beat maker. I said I got to get my piano playing going. And what I want to do is I want to do it just like I did this. Middle C, like here's middle, like I just want to learn right from the beginning. I'm learning how to read music. I mean, I kind of read music, but, I ghetto read music. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
I want to be able to just sit down and understand, like, and be able to play and, what you won't do, you do for love. You tried everything. Like I want to play those I love that kind of 70s, like Wurlitzer electric piano,
Right.
Steely Dan and minute by minute by minute, Stevie Wonder, I want to be able to play like that.
Yeah.
All is fair in love. And a lot of these songs I can play on the piano because I know music theory and I can play, like I've got the chords, so I can do what we call comping. I can just comp through the chords, but I can't like play the actual arrangement.
I feel you, because I'm doing the same thing, like blues harmonica. I started picking that up.
Man, that's another instrument that I quit a couple times. That's hard. I thought that was going to be a breeze.
No.
Slide guitar.
Me too.
I thought all these things are going to. It isn't.
I finally I have a lot that I have to work on, but somehow something just clicked in 30 seconds during this quarantine a couple of months ago, and it was just like, holy shit! I'm actually getting notes. I sound like I'm in prison somewhere in the 40s, which is good.
With that hairy chest. I just noticed it. I was thinking of neural pathways, and I saw like all these pathways.
I've got a few more for you, and then I'll let you.
Yeah, we got to
go.
be quick because it's my fault. I talk too much.
When do you have to bail?
I mean, dinner's ready. Whenever.
Okay, we'll wrap it up. EQ.
Huh?
Is that your answer?
I just moved knobs, so it sounds good. I don't know, man. I love our EQ. Ask me again. EQ. Okay, Fab Filter. I love the Fab Filter EQ because I like to see what's actually going. The Fab.
Right.
I don't know, man. I mean, a lot of guys are tripped out on like it only has to be subtractive, and and it's like if you get on the gear sluts, you think that mixing records is one thing, and then when you hang out with professional mixers, you realize they think that's a joke.
Right.
They're like, dude, you move until it's done.
Until it's done, that's it.
EQs, these guys are boosting and cutting and doing this and that, so I don't know.
Well, I'm just asking in general, like what comes to mind when you think of it? Like
Fab
EQ.
Filter. I love Fab Filter.
Okay. Compressor, compression.
I don't know, man. Parking that vocal.
Yeah.
Modern rock, modern pop, modern everything.
Yeah. Or in other words, like 7 stages of whatever it is, to get it. Yeah.
Layers.
Vocal mic.
Whatever you got. I mean, I love U47s. I love U87s. But I love this Vanguard V13. It's almost more like a C12 thing. I've got 2 of them. A matched pair.
Interesting.
And those things, they're handmade in California. There's some voodoo in those. It's the only
C12s are
mic I've
very,
ever
very
owned
clear.
that sounds good on everybody.
Yeah.
Because 47s and 87s do not sound good on everybody, man. They get boxy on certain voices.
I've my buddy gave me an LCT 940 Lewitt, which is like a U47 clone, and it's just like it's just butter for me. Oh,
Yeah.
oh.
Well, and your kind of voice, I mean, that's like Sinatra, and you think
I
of
need
like,
so much help in that mid range.
yeah.
You know, that's like if I use an SM7 for me, it does work very well, but there's a lot of things that I have to kind of do in the box to just give it to so it sits on top of the mix. Where at the
Right.
U47, that thing is like you just run it through a little. It's already going through the tube. It's going through another set of tubes in the pre's, and it's hitting the LA2A, and it's tubes again. And by the time it hits, it's like, all right, you just kind of shave off a little bit here and there, and whatever. Yeah. Anyway,
We're going through all those too. By the time it hits, it's a week later though, right?
Yeah. Pro Tools is like, you know, flipping out.
Right. Like I could have swore he sang a second. Oh, there he is.
Yeah.
But that's nice. You know, that's what's so beautiful about Neve. It's a little slower. You know, the slowing is what makes it sound great. You know, that's what sounds so great about Marshalls. You know, they sag a little bit. They're not as urgent. They're not as like immediate. It feels like,
yeah. Yeah.
Like a little chunk, you know?
Sounds
like Harley. Bah, 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 you know what I mean? The king of that is the Uberschall, though, where you hit that chord, like you could go out and come back, and then it hits. It's like, gong, gong, gong. It just makes you want to go, gong, gong, gong.
Well, speaking of which, Amp is next, so.
Amp? I don't know.
Amp.
My son's middle name is Marshall.
There you go.
But, you know, I love them all. I got deluxe reverbs. I'm an AC30 guy.
I love your PV 5150 or whatever it is. Did you have one of those at one point?
I used to have one. Yeah, those are great too. Most of those are nice. Yeah, I had a 5150 and a 6505. I had both of them. Yeah. Well, you know me. I was an amp. It was ridiculous. That's like, I need there's got to be a special group of people that get together to try to recover from amp. Like me.
I got a couple more. Saturation.
Warmth.
Delay.
What? Space.
Yeah. Reverb.
Cavernous space. I don't know. Space. I mean, delay's kind of space with reverb space, I guess.
I've been in the dry binge lately.
Yeah, I go through the dry binge. I listen to old records I mixed, and I'm like, did I not realize that there was like a reverb on the freaking? Like it's. Sometimes I just love it dry. Sometimes I love scratch mixes.
Oh yeah.
Like I don't want a single thing on anything. Just put a limiter, crank it, and burn it. Send it to me, baby.
Yeah.
I want to hear some overtones. Sounds like rock and roll.
Yes. Hell yes. All right, last one. Which is I'm sure it's gonna trigger you a little bit. Pizza.
Heaven. Pizza. Okay. Pepperoni sausage.
Yep.
Now the best pizza in Nashville for what the pizza I like being a New Yorker is 5 Points. Pizza. Now you know who used to take me out to pizza at, what was it called? Forget About It in Raleigh was Bags, Nick Baglio. He was friends with the owner. What was it called? Forget About It or
Yeah. I think it's still there.
Is it called Forget About It?
They may have changed the name.
It's no, not Forget About It. It was like a phrase. Like, oh my God, I can't remember. But anyway, yeah. Pizza, I love pizza.
And that's another thing in quarantine I discovered. I actually make a pretty damn good pizza.
There you?
Yeah.
You're not going like you're not going gluten-free
oh hell no.
Cauliflower crust.
No.
Okay, so you can keep you on my phone as a friend, right?
You kidding me? You eat 10 times better than me.
How about that?
Oh, for sure. for sure.
You know what's good delivery pizza out here is Jets.
Well, that's good to know.
Yeah, Jets is good. I get the big square one, pepperoni sausage.
It's hard to find good pizza
And I think it
Tennessee.
goes through a conveyor belt because it comes out. It's cooked exactly the same every time, and it's just the way I like it. Not overcooked, but it's crunchy.
Good quality control.
Yeah, I don't like it when it I don't know. Sometimes it comes in like Papa John's comes in. It feels like you're eating a shoe. You know what I mean? It's mushy. I don't like mushy. Don't give me mushy.
I finally realized what the did you ever see the Kevin James skit where he talks about I don't know what it was, like 20 years ago, Sweat the Small Stuff. It was some series on Comedy Central. And he talks about how he's like, I don't want that little ottoman that they put in the middle of the pizza. And I finally figured out what that does.
It keeps the top from touching.
I felt like a dumbass because
especially if you're stacking them and you're taking them on delivery, man.
Right. And I was like, man, why the hell is that thing even there for? Oh, okay. It's to, preserve the box. You know?
Dude, you're a funny dude.
Listen, this was great. I'm going to let you get to your dinner situation.
Yeah, man.
I've got to.
Thank you. It's so good to see you, man. And when you come out, we got to do some weightlifting. And you just did a podcast with Max Fry, right?
His is coming out tomorrow, I believe, at 2:00.
He's a cool kid, man. Guys, keep your eyes out for Mr. Max Fry. He's been taking some voice lessons with me out here in Nashville, and he's good, man. A little shredder, he's got the hair.
Oh yeah, Max and I, we got him going at the open mics in Raleigh about 5-6 years ago, and that was just when he was starting.
He must have been like 3 years old.
Yeah,
like 10 or 11.
He's like literally 11 or 12. Yeah. I got to run myself. I've got somebody else coming up, but I've got one question that I ask everybody at the end, and this is really simple. If you could go back in time to your 15-year-old self, knowing what you know now, what would you tell him?
Buckle in. Buckle in, buddy. You know, because and I have kids, and you know, my dad, one of my dad's biggest frustrations was that I didn't benefit from his experience. Because if my dad would say, "Don't touch that stove," I'm telling you, I did it once. It's really terrible. You know, it's at 300 degrees and it'll burn you. You know, and then I go, "Oh, really?" You know, it was like just the way I was wired. Like, "Oh, really? I shouldn't do it. I'm going to do it a lot now." Rebel. My youngest son is the same. He wants a dirt bike. I'm like, dude, you're not going to get a dirt bike. I don't even want to explain it anymore. You're not getting one right now. You're 8. You're 8. Just be 8. But
I have my little pocket bike when I was 12.
Because I think if I had to do it all over again, I wouldn't do it any different. You know, as for all the ups and downs that people have, I mean, I've had, you know, some days you're the pigeon, some days you're the statue.
Yeah.
I wouldn't change it. It shaped me into a person that's, you know, who I am, and I'm here for a reason, and got it.
That's it. Well, you guys have been watching and listening to the Jason Damico Show. Definitely give James a follow if you are not subscribed to him already. And we'll see you on the next one. Peace.